Hello, hello. This is your host, Sheraz Ahmed, ready to kick off another bite-sized episode of the Crypto Valley Association podcast. A special thank you goes out to Script for supporting us. Now let's discover together the growing trends of this fast-moving space and try to shed some light on the mysteries it contains. We are joined by Ekaterina Anthony, Senior Manager at GWP, leading advisors to financial service providers on the fulfillment of financial market regulatory requirements and the optimization of compliance and risk processes. So let's dive straight into the hidden world of compliance and risk. Ekaterina, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Hi, Shiraz. I'm doing great, and I'm glad to be here today and share my story with the Crypto Valley Association community. I know that Crypto Valley has growing fast internationally, and people listen to us not only in Switzerland, but in many other countries. I also believe that Switzerland has a very crypto-friendly regulatory and business ecosystem, and our local experience could be useful to the countries where the developments just started.
It's true. We have a lot of different listeners from all over the world, so I'm sure they're going to be very happy to hear what you have to say today. Yes, let's dive straight in, and maybe you can tell us what makes you so passionate about compliance and digital finance.
So I decided to call my topic today compliance and digital finance, sunrise or last mile. And the current developments of the financial industries closely depends on regulation. And if you know, the most cases when you will develop your financial products or services, and not only in financial area, also in other industries, in these areas, you cannot just launch something on a global scale. We see companies like Facebook and Libra case where they will have to gradually, step by step, introduce Libra coin in different jurisdictions. So the scalability issue is one of the main hindrances in developing crypto projects. I call it last mile problem. You can launch your project because you have technology ready, but you actually cannot because of the regulation and cross-border issue. And it's probably the most painful topic for the startups. This is compliance. And I will come back later to sunrise problem in my discussion today. And it's actually the same as last mile. Let me say some facts about myself. I have economical background and a master degree in finance. For the last 10 years, I'm living here in Switzerland. And before I used to live in London and Moscow. Till 2015, I was manager for the Russian Stock Exchange and its international business activity out of London. And before, my role was also with the global Standard & Poor's and Platts commodity real-time pricing agency, where I was dealing with infringement, piracy, and illegal use of information. So I have a lot of experience in the financial area and compliance area. And if you ask me how I actually came to the Bitcoin developments, I would say I'm not an early adopter, but still I believe I am, as since 2016, I actively involved in crypto-related businesses.
It's very, very interesting that you point that out. And I'm very much looking forward actually to hear more about the last mile problem. And sorry for cutting you off, but I think you can call yourself an early adopter because, 2016 is still 4 years ago. So maybe you can tell us more about how you got into the blockchain technology in this space.
Well, my real experience started, as I said, in 2016, when I was working as an independent consultant in support the creation of hedge fund with a strategy exposed to crypto market. I had a client who really wanted to have a crypto fund with a crypto strategy, and I had to learn it from scratch. So it was not a difficult portfolio because we had only, exposure to the tokens. But later, I got another client, and he asked me to create a hedge fund, a proper crypto hedge fund within the existing institutional infrastructure in the real banking sector. So it was almost mission impossible because you have to find administrator, you have to find bank and auditor. And it's when you talk to administrator about calculating net assets valuation in crypto, they just don't want to talk to you anymore. And also, if you want to open account for such structure, it's almost impossible. And auditor, they have no experience, and they will probably ask you to pay twice more, and we will start learning with you. So, but I was able to create the structure. And as I already mentioned, I used to manage stock exchange business. And I started to look at crypto trading strategies and crypto exchange structures. So I concluded that there are many similarities in trading crypto and fiat instruments. At the same time, my impression was that the crypto exchanges were in a very initial stage of development with proper IT setup, reliability, security, the speed of trading. So the compliance part also was far away from the standard KYC and ML procedures. And we can talk about exchanges a lot, and it probably should be a separate podcast. So today, of course, many of them much improve the onboarding setup and become more scalable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's a lot to say. So let's get straight into it. Maybe you can tell us more about your current activities at GWP and what role they play within this growing industry.
Actually, we in GWP are a fast-growing consulting company with a focus purely on compliance and regulatory matter and licensing. We also provide activity in developing digitalization models for the modern banking sector and support fintech startups. Created just 5 years ago by Alex Geisbuller and Reto Weber, today GWP employs almost 100 professionals in Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Germany, with offices in Zurich, Zug, Geneva, Vaduz, and Frankfurt. We don't provide tax services or company setup. We are purely focused on compliance.
Okay, but there's definitely a lot to do on the compliance side. So maybe you can tell us how that trend is moving nowadays and changing how everything is operating.
Yes, it's important to build a business right from the beginning, especially in crypto-related models, as the regulator monitors the sector with great attention. We have experience and know how to support the projects to go live and to be successful. For example, Siaba Bank was one of our projects where we provided support in getting FINMA banking license. It took us around 1.5 years to go through the whole licensing journey. The biggest part of our offering is the education of the market and supporting clients' optimization processes. We believe that the evolution of banking sector has already started. And you can probably postpone the development, but you can't stop it for sure. A good example is the interest from even Swiss cantonal banks who are now open for discussion and digitalization advice. I tell you from my experience, when in 2017 I was at banking conference in Zurich, and people asked me what I'm doing and why I am in this conference. As soon as they found out that I'm involved in crypto, they immediately took a distance. Like today, we keep the distance because of Corona. But as I said, today we have very different situation, and we see interest from all financial market participants.
Okay, I definitely see. And can you tell us maybe the importance of mitigating the risk?
Well, it's clear that transactions with crypto assets are getting more widely adopted, but at the same time, it forces the regulators to implement the requirements and rules to control money flow and legality of these transactions. So how to find the right balance, how not to kill the idea of anonymity, but comply with the law, but how to make sure that the data are kept confidential. So every bank, every exchange or broker need to look at the mitigating risk associated with virtual currencies. The risk is not unique, and it's very similar to the fiat-related transactions. Any financial institution which is considering operations of virtual currency must be ready to answer the key questions. What is the baseline controls do they have in place to identify customers? What type of customers do they have? How does the financial institution interact with other virtual assets providers? And does the organization have the tool to identify and report potential suspicious?
Okay, we'll definitely get into those as well, but maybe you can tell me a little bit about where you think compliance within the sector as a whole is headed.
I think client identification became one of the most important topic for business in 2020. And maybe you know, Financial Action Task Force, it's a global organization actually controlling the implementation of the regulation rules in different countries, proposed in June 2019 a global standard regarding sharing the beneficiary and originate information between intermediaries operating with crypto assets, so-called VASP. virtual asset service providers. This standard is supported by the implementation of the travel rules, and the travel rules names is coming to us from 1996 when it was introduced by the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, FinCEN, in USA. These fund transfer rules are designed to help law enforcement agencies to detect, investigate, and prosecute money laundering and other financial crime by preserving an information trail. It's important to mention that recently adopted standard IVMS 101 should be also probably taken into consideration by our listeners, and because it's a base for the development of the travel rule protocol.
Mm-hmm. And would you like to tell us a little bit more about the importance of knowing about this new SWIFT standard?
Sure. I think it's pretty well described already in different media and internet. And probably just for information, it's important to know that it was created by a joint working group, an international industry coalition established by blockchain organization EDAXA, GDF, and Chamber of Digital Commerce, where they adopted this unified cryptocurrency messaging standard to have digital asset service providers comply with incoming regulation. So this standard is supposed to set up a uniform model of data to be exchanged and it's similar to SWIFT messaging standard. I think it's probably confusing for listeners to hear all the names, but it's important to be aware of what is going on in the industry.
Okay, I see. And following from that, where is it headed further? Can you maybe give us further insight into that?
Yes, it's actually happening right now. And because of these requirements of FATF, since summer 2019, many developers and companies have been focused on implementing a solution or protocol to accommodate closely with FATF recommendations. In most cases, there are not central body or organization behind the protocol, but rather a variety of leading industry participants from around the world. For example, our OpenVAS protocol in Switzerland, or TRP protocol, or TRIZA. Despite all protocol developers having a similar aim to create a simple solution that will not impose unnecessary additional requirements, integrate into existing business solution and enable interoperability, the chosen approaches differ in its core architecture and philosophy. If you ask me the difference between them, we don't have much time to go into details, but it's still important to look at the decentralization aspect, blockchain relevancy, complicity of authentication and transmission layers. And WinGVP published recently an analytical report comparing different protocols. And the aim is, of course, to educate our clients, market participants, to give them opportunity to understand which actually solution they have to implement, what will be the best for them. And there are several leading developers and companies who already presented a version of the approach to the market. Some of them already tested, some of them in testing phase. And we had good news in August where the testing happened also in Switzerland between two Swiss intermediaries, let's call them VASPs again. They did transaction using TRP protocol and software solution developed by local software developer 21 Analytics.
Thank you, Katerina, for that. And maybe you can tell us more about what your vision is for the future of this whole industry.
The good news that since 2016, we see a lot of developments, and today it's completely different situation with financial intermediaries, offering better support to crypto-related businesses. For example, we all know we have two crypto banks in Switzerland, SEBA and Signum, and hopefully Bitcoin Swiss will join them as a bank and will support the local international crypto operators. By creating crypto-related structure, I learned a lot, and I think it was the most sophisticated learning time for me in my entire career. At the same time, I started to be more involved in consulting, and my clients suggested they will pay me my honorar in Ethereum. First time when I heard it, I was really shocked, but quickly I learned how to open my first account with crypto exchange and issued my first invoice. So somehow the invoice in Ethereum was the first milestone in my crypto career. Meanwhile, I started to get myself more involved in crypto community in Switzerland and find out about Crypto Valley Association. So, became a member and gradually expanded my network. At the same time, I started to consult different companies on crypto compliance, licensing, and structuring business. In May 2019, I joined GVP, Geisbühler Weber & Partner, where, as you already mentioned, I focus on compliance and crypto and DLT business. I would like to stress, Sheraz, that Crypto Valley Association gave me a lot of opportunities to meet new people, to learn about crypto, to exchange experience, and to have possibility to present the vision from the conference floor, and even promote myself and my employer. Today, we are corporate members of Crypto Valley Association.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. And yes, it's great to have GWP involved and have you speak at some of our conferences as well. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about GWP and their role in this growing industry. Perfect. And so then we can continue towards the end as well. I think we spoke about where the sector as a whole is headed, and now we just need to have what is your vision for the future of this whole industry, right?
Today we talk about compliance and we talk about particular topic, transactions and travel rules. So if you look into the future of industry, let us say in a year time, it's important when financial intermediaries implement travel rule solution on company level and regulators adapt it on a country level requirements. The majority of big players like exchanges will for sure comply with the rules. And in case your organization is not part of the travel rule compliance, you will be out of the game, as non-transfer will be possible with non-cooperative countries. And I would like to stress that Swiss regulation is more advanced in comparison with other countries. And we so-call it sunrise issue. You remember at the beginning, I talked about last mile problem. Mm-hmm. So the clients of the countries with less strict regulation will have problems sending transactions to Swiss-based participants. Swiss high standard regulation implies some complicity to Swiss intermediaries as well. So to cooperate with other jurisdictions, they will have problems to actually send money for the clients abroad. There are not many jurisdictions who introduce similar high standards. The exception could be probably Singapore.
Okay, that's very interesting, and hopefully we'll see further improvement within that. And Ekaterina, it's been a pleasure to have you on today, and I want to really thank you for the valuable insights that you've provided. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience before we finish off today?
Yes, Sheraz, I would like to thank you again for inviting me and the GVP to talk about industry topic and especially compliance today. We in GVP, being a member of Crypto Valley Association, actively participate in the supporting of the developments and educating the market. And we are active member of the IML task force. And I personally represent Crypto Valley Association in IDAXA, the International Digital Assets Exchange Association, one which is also helped to create IVMS 101 protocol, which I described before. In case any of our listeners, participants need help with travel rule implementation, please do not hesitate to contact us. The future is starting now. Don't miss your opportunity and be compliant. And you can probably postpone the developments, but you can't stop it. So thank you so much and all the best, and stay healthy in such a difficult time.
Well, there you have it. It's best to be compliant and don't postpone it. It's very important. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, feel free to check out more on our website, cryptovalley.swiss, where we host plenty of events, educational content, and even provide information on how you can join our growing community. So thanks again, Ekaterina, for joining us. Stay tuned, stay safe, and until next time from the Crypto Valley in Switzerland. Bye-bye.